time. There's no hurry now that you're on your way. When you're learning how to fly, no more wandering round. Step up off the ground. You will find you can glide on by. There's a magic place that is just for you. When you're
Welcome back to Third Ear Radio. We are so glad that you joined us. I am your host, Precious McGill, and
good morning. It's Ruth Lemon. How you doing today? We're having a great morning here. We're excited about our guests. And
Yes, we have an in-studio guest today, the Denise David Williams. We're so glad that she could join us today. And today's topic will be allowing spirit. But before we jump into our show, I want us to take a moment. We just learned that the great Della Reese has passed this morning. Not only is she someone notable in the film, acting, entertainment community, she's also very big in the spiritual community. She's done a lot for the spiritual community. And we just want to take a moment during our meditation as we open our as being still this moment to call out the name Della Reese and remember her for all the great contributions she's made here on earth. So Ruth, if you could.
we're gonna get ready to center in. So if you just take a breath with me and allow yourself to, in the allowing, to say the word peace, because as we speak peace for the family, knowing that the blessings and the love of God is surrounding them right now. We allow this word peace to go out into the universe and to circulate and to just permeate out all over the world, because we know that one word can change the world. And so today we come together. We know that it's going to be a delightful show, that we are going to have an absolute ball talking about spirit and allowing. And for this, we give so much thanks. And so it is.
And so it is. All right, Ruth, how are you today?
Hey, let me tell you, I had one of the most fantastic weeks. I went to see a movie called Heal in the city of Santa Monica. This movie was designed for everyone to see. It talks about learning how to use spirit and use your mind so that the healing work can be done. We saw some of the people from our community, Michael Beckwith, Deepak Chopra, and other people speaking about how most of the time when we have catastrophic illnesses or any illness, it begins with stress, our lifestyle, the things that we do, the history that we were raised in, and the people that we tend to associate with now. It talks about the different methods of healing, such as tapping. Are you familiar with tapping?
I've heard that. Neural tapping.
They talk about tapping, meditation, massage, just so many ways that you can work with yourself. It doesn't matter what the medical doctor is doing. It's what do you believe? It is done unto you as you believe. And I believe that this is a movie that should come into every community. I'm calling out Dr. Michael Beckwith to come to our radio show and speak on that movie, because we need more people to hear about it. It was in a very small theater in Santa Monica, then went to Beverly Hills, and it's on the road because I think they're trying to get it out. But we needed to come into every community, because when you know that you have something inside of you that can assist you in being healed, I'm not talking about so much even physical. How about mental? We have so many pressures on us. So this movie speaks on all of that. I was overwhelmed by it. Felt like I should have been in it, because it had a lady in there who experienced a healing very similar to mine, and she spoke about it. And she talked about how when she went into her sleeping state, she saw her father, and she hadn't had the greatest relationship with him. But he came to her and he told her that he loved her and that she could stay there or she could come back. And she made the choice to come back and share information with us. So I'm really excited about the movie. I'm knowing that it will come into our community. And I'm knowing that Michael Beckwith is going to join us one morning.
Yes. You know what? Why don't we just allow Spirit to navigate Michael Beckwith to join us? Yes. Let's allow. And speaking of allowing, let's go ahead and jump into our topic today. Allowing Spirit, allowing God. That's a concept that maybe a lot of people aren't very familiar with. There are a few things that have to happen before you allow God. You have to be still. You have to be centered and understand who you are vibrationally. And then when that happens, you can begin to allow God. Allowing means letting go, releasing.
Right,
Please come right in.
What I find many times is that we're really allowing when we don't even know we are. When you find yourself in a situation and you're there and you can't make a decision and you say, you know what, I'm just giving it up. I'm letting go. And it seems as though when you say the word, I'm letting go, then Spirit says, okay, now I can come in and give you some information. What happens, though, is many times we'll hear that first voice, the all-knowing voice.
Yes.
And we'll say, I don't know, maybe I'm going to do it my way. But I do know that when you say, I'm just going to let it go, and you listen and you allow by just being in the moment or just taking a walk or just going about your normal life, and that voice will come to you because you've let go of it. We have a tendency to hold on a little bit too much.
You know what? I learned, I heard the concept many years before I actually knew what it was, and how I got more intimately introduced in practicing the art of allowance was by listening to Abraham Hicks.
Right.
They talk a lot about the art of allowance and vibration, and I didn't even know myself vibrationally. I didn't even know what that meant. But then as I began to be still, I began to feel myself and understand that allowing is surrendering, submitting, letting go. Even when the worry creeps up, even when the thoughts creep in that come to distract you, letting them pass, allowing them to happen without the need to control, because that desire to control and manipulate and move is actually focused attention.
Well,
and when we release the focused attention, then we can allow it to happen, kind of like a wave. Just let the wave take you.
Yeah, but what I know about that is many times we don't know that we're controlling. Sometimes just in conversation.
Most times we don't.
We're just in conversation. We say, well, this is what I'm going to do, or that's what I'm going to do. And it's not that we're trying to control the moment. It's the only thing that we know. We work out of, we act out of what we've been taught. Right. We act out of the protection we've learned how to put on ourselves, or how to react out of the fears that we put in ourselves. And sometimes we act and say words out of what the group or what our friends are saying. But I remember when we were studying with the beings, and one of the things we learned is that we are not a group. We're individualized beings, and so we have to learn to go within and allow ourselves to be the boss of me. So when you let go, it doesn't matter if you're eating and you want to do I need a dessert? No. But, I'm going to have it anyway. And then that inner voice will say, okay, you can do that if you want to. And guess what? You make a choice. So within allowing comes the word choice. Choice is extremely important, because even if you say, Denise or Precious, you want to have chocolate cake?
Yes.
And you say, yeah. I said, well, okay, I guess I will too. So we're giving up our gift of choice, and we're not listening to that voice that is allowing us to make a decision which is going to change our habits or change some of the things that we're thinking, the way we react to situations. Allowing can just go so far out because we do it all the time.
One way I really enjoy or have gotten into, or it's really assisted me in the art of allowance, is when the things in life that I have no control over come up. I just say, okay, you know what? I'm just going to roll with it. I'm just going to let it go and watch God reveal itself in this moment. And I am always amazed, always surprised at how great it goes. It never goes the way I thought it was. It always works out better. Even when I see that, okay, things are not coming together the way I thought, and I start trusting and letting go, it might be the 11th hour. God comes right on through, flames, blazing glory, victory, and everything. And it's not so much that it went the way I wanted it to happen. I allowed it, and God unfolded in that moment. It's a really high level of trust because you don't know what's going to happen.
Well, there's
and that's okay.
Allowance going on in your life all the time. When you have your children and they're doing something and you've told them like 10 times, right? And then the last time you say, okay, I'm just going to let them go. I'm just going to let them go. And that's allowing them to go out and learn their own lessons. It releases the control, so that we find that if we do it with our children, we tend to do it with our relationships. We tend to do it on our job. One of the things that I've learned is if it don't fit, don't force it, just let it go. And that's what I find myself doing more now on a regular basis because I've learned that this is an impersonal life, very impersonal life. It's your choice. And when we can come into the understanding that everything, whether we want to receive it or not, everything that you do in your life is a choice. And allowing comes out of choice. Because sometimes, as I said before, we give up our choices. We give up our allowing because we allow other people, places, and things. Goes into that history, which we talked about last week with Beverly when we were doing the clearing of the throat chakra. And she was saying that she had to do some forgiveness work, because forgiveness is key in allowing ourselves to have a happy life. We've got to learn to let go of some people, places, and things that we carried anger with us for 10, 15, 20 years. We've been angry. And sometimes we don't even know it. And then we'll see them and then we go, there they are. Or
and you know, sometimes when we hold on to the people, places, and things instead of allowing them to fall away from us. You know, like maybe you didn't get the job, so I'm going to bust that door down. You know, if that door don't open, it's not your door. You know, allow Spirit to open the door wide open. The ones that open there for you, they may not look like the doors that you want to walk through, but when you get on that other side, you understand the art. It's an art, allowing God to do it. You know, there's a really good analogy that Abraham Hicks does, and they talk about holding on when the God is controlling the current and the current goes downstream, and we're like, no, we actually want to go upstream. There's something up there that we want. And so we hold on to the branches to keep us in that stream, pulling us onward, and we're getting beat up by the current. Let go. Just let go and let God, and you'll find that everything you're looking for is downstream. Go with the flow. Allow it to happen. I know there have been times that I've held on to things and I wanted to win. I identified as winning, as having that thing. But when I let that thing go, I found out I'm already winning.
Well,
you know?
One of the things they talk about, too, is watching your language. One of the things that I've understood is that words have power.
Yes, they do.
And so when we're speaking our word on anything, we are then controlling. We're not in the vortex of saying, hey, I'm just going to be here in this moment and let it begin to unfold on its own. That's the allowing. And so our words, you know, when you say, I don't have any money, you're holding yourself back from the money because the money wants to come, but you're saying, I don't have it. So the law of attraction can't bring it to you. But if you're at peace and say, well, you know, right now I have everything I need. This morning I woke up, I'm the wealthiest woman in the world. That's talking about working with affirmations, which are extremely important in our lives. Affirming and knowing that what we want has already happened, and we're just accepting it and allowing it to show up.
And you make a really good point, Ruth. You do have to be conscious of your language, your self-talk. Check those thoughts. Some people don't even take the time to tune in to what is it that I'm thinking? What am I thinking in this moment? Challenge your thoughts. If you have that, I don't think I can do it, or this isn't enough, or maybe even statements like maybe if I just had, that's a statement to the universe. That means I am not enough, or that where I am is not perfect for the unfolding of the divine. And that's a lie, because right where you are in this moment, all decisions have been made. You are exactly where you are for God to unfold and express in your life. And those words carry a vibration, like you said, Ruth. They have energy. So I love myself. You don't even have to believe it, but you're vibrating for yourself when you say it. I believe in me. I am enough. Even if you don't believe it, one day you'll start to believe it. Use those words like currency to build yourself up.
Yes, and remembering that anything that happens is good, because even when it seems like it's the worst thing that could happen in your life, out of everything comes something good. Someone is going to learn, someone is going to grow, something wonderful is going to come from it. You know, many times when we talk about the catastrophes and we say, how could they allow that to happen? Well, it happened because in that moment, that's what is necessary for us to take a look at ourselves. You know, lately we've had a lot of church shootings. We've had a lot of things going on in the universe. And people are saying, well, what's going on? Well, we've got to think about some of the things that we are allowing to happen. Maybe we need to think about gun laws. Maybe we need to think about loving more often. Maybe we need to be aware of the people in our community and what their needs are so that they don't feel that they have to commit those types of crimes. But when something happens, it opens up a whole big new world.
Yes.
It allows you to go deeper and to think, how does this work for me? What can I do as a result of this thing happening to change something? And within asking that question and getting still, once again, you are allowing the universe to say, hey, this is what you got to do. This is what you can do. This is who you are. This is how you can help that family. This is how you can say words that will help to comfort someone, or words that will help a student or someone to know that they're doing okay in school, that they're okay.
Yes.
Because the main thing about life is that people want to know that they're okay.
Right.
And if they feel like they're okay, then they can get to the allowing point. They don't have to put up so much defense and feel like they always have some type of protection of battling, of using words, or just being not the greatest person in the world.
You know, that protection of self, that's pretty deep for a lot of people. A lot of people are their 5-year-old self or their wounded self, and they are coming up against people who aren't even out to harm them, and they're trying to protect themselves, you know, or a lot of people living with regret. You know, that's a part of allowing too, letting that part of self. It's always a part of your story, but you can let it go and let God paint you a new story. Write your own story.
Yeah, and step out of fear. Step out of fear, because fear to me is one of the number one reasons that many of us don't see ourselves achieving and doing the thing that we want to do in our lives.
Yes.
I remember when I was younger, you know, I think I talked about it before. I didn't feel like I was the most attractive girl when I talked.
No.
I didn't think that my voice.
Not you, Ruth.
I didn't think
You're
that my
so
words. I didn't
beautiful.
think that my words had power. There were a lot of things that I didn't know about myself. And what was really funny is when I ran into people that I knew from like years ago, they'd go, "Oh, you were always this outgoing,
so
wonderful
gorgeous,
person."
yes.
But you see, you're not seeing what other people are seeing. You're not knowing what other people are knowing. And you really are this magnificent, dynamic being. But because you've been trained to hear other things about yourself, you miss the gift that you are.
And
you
you
know,
can't.
and that fear of not being enough keeps you from allowing.
But you can't experience the fullness of a compliment if you aren't experiencing it in yourself already. If you don't think you're beautiful, it doesn't matter how many other people think you're beautiful. You're not going to feel that.
Exactly.
So when you feel a deficit when someone else is giving you the love, the thing is not to correct them, is to correct self, to bring self up to where you actually believe that.
Right, and that's where the types of classes that you and I give come into play. You see, because as a life coach, you have the opportunity to open up them to a whole new world of who they are and what they have the capabilities of being. In my work, when I work with children and adults, I have the opportunity to say, you know, come take a look in this mirror and see what I'm seeing. Let's do some journaling and write out and get rid of all the garbage that you have, and let's burn it up and let it go. We have a call?
No, we don't, but I forgot. We didn't put our headphones on last time.
You know,
we should put them on.
Always perfectly ready.
Okay. Yeah, now we can hear. You know, Ruth, speaking about what we do with our clients, I teach my clients what I call how to shut the F up. And though some people do need to learn how to shut the F up, in my case, the F is for fear. Fear is the greatest thing that stops us. And the fear is something that is not born inside of us, but somewhere along the way, we allowed it.
Well, you got to remember this. It's kind of man-made. When your mother,
it is.
Historically, we come out of what we were grown into. Even in the womb, we're hearing words, we're feeling reaction, we're taking in everything that every adult around us is doing. We're participating in life, and when we come through that womb and we arrive on the planet, and then we are in a living environment where we're hearing it on a real participating level, because now they can see it, so they know that we're there.
Yes.
And so all of the things that we begin to believe ourselves, we're raised in it, and it creates a world of thought. And if you don't have someone who can say, no, that's not real, that's not how it is, then yes, you're going to go through life until you become aware through learning things that we're talking
How to
about,
shut the F up.
going to workshops, going to church groups, or wherever it is you go, to get that affirmation that says, no, this is not who you are. That was a situation. That's not what it really is. You don't have to live in that. You do not have to create the same life your mother had, because your history is not your destiny. Your history is what you choose at this point in time to create for yourself. And it's real important that we do. We have a call. Okay, we have a call.
Oh, okay, great. Hello, caller.
Good evening, ladies.
Hey, where are you? It's morning time here.
Well, yes, I'm calling. I love your show, and I would just like to hear you ladies speak on accountability.
From what aspect?
From a personal aspect.
How accountable you are about your life? Is that what you mean?
Yes, like how accountability can help a person.
Well, accountability is everything, because you are absolutely 100% accountable for where you are today. And sometimes it's simply your perception of where you are that you have to be accountable for. So as it relates to allowing, if something doesn't go right, there are no mistakes. Abandon regret and just learn to be present in the nowness and be okay with the way things are today. I'm not sure if we're answering your question.
No, you are.
Okay.
Okay, because...
Yes.
No, go on.
No, I'm just listening because I feel accountability, that helps people. That makes it personal, and then that helps with self-growth.
Okay, accountability also comes in when you have understanding. And many times you're accountable for the moment that you're in, but when you grow and when you begin to learn and you know that something is not going the way it's supposed to be, or you're feeling uncomfortable because you know that's not really who you are, that's when in meditation or in listening with the third ear, we say, take a breath. Mm-hmm. When you know that something is going on and it's going to be important, it's going to reflect on who you are, how people see you, or how your life is going to go, take a breath before you say the words. Allow yourself to get clear so that you can hear with that third ear and know what really is the best answer for you. I think many times we talk too much, we jump the gun a little bit, and we go out of what we have heard or we've grown up in. But what I've learned from myself is when I slow down and someone is speaking to me, or I find myself in a situation, I say, hey, Ruth, take a breath. Get clear and make sure that you are aware of how this is going to work for you when it's done. And breathing is extremely important, very important. How
also,
you operate off the breath.
I look at accountability as a power position. Because if you can be accountable for what's going on, that means you have the ability to shift what you're experiencing. So that's one reason why I like I don't know if you guys, many of you have heard out there about Ho'oponopono. It's an ancient Hawaiian tradition of healing. And it's where you take accountability for the purpose of transmuting the energy. So for anything that you're experiencing and there's some type of negative attachment to it, apologize for the situation. Not that you think you actually caused it, but you're willing to accept the accountability for the purpose of transmuting. I apologize. Please forgive me. Thank you, and I love you. This dissolves negative energy. It helps you clear out, get down to the nothingness, the stillness. Because a lot of times when we get still or we allow ourselves to be, that noise that we're hearing, it's not the lawnmower outside. It's that thing that's inside that we aren't addressing. So accountability is absolutely a place of power. It's an opportunity to go deeper and do the work. And why not take accountability for how you show up in a situation? Because it gives you the opportunity for change, for growth.
It's also letting go of resistance.
Mm-hmm, that's
because
right.
Many times when we don't want to take accountability, we'll resist, we'll hold back, and we'll speak the words that somebody else used, or we'll come from a level of, well, this is how it was done, this is how I'm going to do it now. In the moment, take responsibility and say, you know what, give me a moment. If I'm in a conversation with someone and they're saying something to me and I don't really get it, I don't understand it, I will say, hey, can I have a moment with that? Let me think about that.
Yeah.
Because once again, taking that breath, allowing the clearance to come so that when you speak your words, you're speaking with power, you're speaking with understanding, you're speaking with compassion, and you know which level to go to based on what the situation is. That makes you accountable for everything, but you have time to get your words and everything that you want them to understand about you together so that they are clearly seeing who you are.
Yes. And count it all good.
It's all good.
If it showed up, it came to teach you something.
Exactly.
This is your opportunity. If it didn't go the way you wanted it to go, say thank you.
Yeah.
Express gratitude. If you didn't get that promotion, say thank you, because you know what God has for you is absolutely what you're manifesting. It just couldn't show up in this position.
Exactly.
You know, and when things happen in life, instead of freaking out, be.
In the moment.
Just be present.
Yes.
Feel that thing. Pay attention to it, not for the purpose of focusing or obsessing, but so that you can understand what the universe is showing you. Disappointment is a message from your soul that, okay, now you have the opportunity to make another choice. So for that reason, count it all good.
Choose again.
Make another choice.
And also know that everything that shows up isn't for you. Everything that shows up isn't necessarily what you're supposed to have. It shows up so that you can take that breath, become accountable, and make a choice. You see, some things, there used to be a saying, everything that shines isn't gold. And that's really the truth, because many times you might get a job offer, as she said before, but look what goes along with it. You may have to give up some things to get some things.
Yes.
So, as I said before, I know that whatever it is, no matter what the situation is, if you slow yourself down, take a breath, you're going to become clear. And if you do make a choice and it doesn't work out, you breathe again, you choose again, and you become accountable because you have chosen yourself first to make sure that you're thinking about how it's going to happen for you, how it's going to reflect on you.
Right. We have our show opens up with the song by Tuck and Patty, I Want to Learn How to Fly. Talk about allowing. Instead of resisting, instead of fighting, start flying. That is, in essence, the art of allowance. And take accountability for how you show up. Did we answer your question, caller?
Indeed.
Okay.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Who this is? What's your name?
Curtis Frank.
Thank you, Curtis, for calling. We appreciate you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, and that's Ho'oponopono.
Ho'oponopono.
Thank you. Okay, so it's time for us to go on a break. When we come back, we have our guest, Denise David Williams.
When I count all my blessings, I can't even be said anymore. Can't even be said anymore. When I count all my blessings, my heart still hurts for the world that I know. The world that I know. Sinking down under the water, slipping down under, drifting out into the water, missing down under. Tell me, what is it you care for? Is there even a care at all? Praying for sense of direction, praying for love and protection. Sinking down under the water, slipping down under, drifting out into the water, missing down under. Tell me, what is it you care for? Is there even a care at all? Praying for sense of direction, praying for love and protection. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy. mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. If I bless you, Lord, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Remember me. Have mercy, have mercy. If I call, have mercy, have mercy, Lord. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. Have mercy, have mercy, if I call on the blessing of Lord. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, remember. Call on your blessing, mercy, have mercy. If I call, have mercy, have blessing, Lord. Have mercy, have mercy, have mercy, remember. No. We try.
Welcome back from the break. I hope you guys enjoyed that song, Have Mercy. That's one of the songs I use to get me kind of pumped up when I'm going in my day. So like I said before we left off, we have a guest today, an in-studio guest, Denise David Williams. Thank you for joining us, Denise. You were on.
Oh, okay, great. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
And congratulations on your show.
Thank you.
What a great service you're doing.
Thank you. So, in preparation for the show, I was reading your bio. I mean, I met Denise years ago in the Beans. This is one of our beloved sister friends, Denise. Yes. And I was pretty impressed. I had no idea about your other self in the entertainment industry. And it was nice to read about your journey into working on a project that had meaning, that was near and dear to your heart. Do you mind educating our audience a little bit about yourself?
Not at all. So that's funny, my other self. It's kind of all the same self.
Right.
It's funny. I'm more than happy to talk about the work that I do, but I really consider myself a light worker.
Yes.
Exactly.
And in the business of Hollywood, I guess I would be called a producer and a writer. I don't guess. I am a producer. I'm a writer. But I really feel that I work at a higher, at a higher intention.
Yes.
And not at the level of Hollywood. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Right.
Sometimes there is. But that's my intention is that to work at a higher level.
Yes.
What does that mean? That means to always work in integrity, follow my heart, allow Spirit to guide me to the projects that can help elevate the planet, and basically do God's will, because I am here to do that through television, movies, whatever, theater.
Right.
That's my job, to be an instrument for God through stories.
I love that, because it takes all kinds. Some people think, okay, they're blessed with the gifts of the Spirit, so they're going to sing in a church choir, or they're going to have a ministry. But this is a ministry.
It's a ministry.
Yes.
This is a ministry.
Yes.
So, Denise, how did you get started recognizing that the movie or the film industry was where you wanted to take your ministry?
Yeah, well, you know how they say your longing is your calling? So my longing many, many years ago was to tell – I remember I saw a movie called Ordinary People, and I went, that's what I want to do. I want to be a producer. I didn't know what a producer was, but that's what there it was in my heart. And so I got on the path. I was a theater major in college, and then I moved to New York for a short time and worked in the theater, was an agent, came to California, went to USC Film School, graduate school, started working. I got some very great opportunities to work at Steven Spielberg's company. I mean, I was just a gopher, but, to be a fly on the wall at places like that was incredible. And then I had subsequent jobs as a story editor and development executive. And what that means is that my job was to find stories that in my opinion, and then in my boss's opinion, would make great movies. And that's how I learned, reading a lot of scripts, and that's how I learned that aspect of the business. But simultaneously, and most importantly, I was on a spiritual path that enabled me to get here to make me who I am today so that God can really use me.
Yes.
I mean, that was fun back then, and, it was flashy and fun, but on the other hand, it wasn't fun because my insides were not healed yet, like you guys were talking about.
So I just recently, a couple of months ago, had an opportunity to see you in a play where you spoke on that.
Well, I wasn't in the play. I wrote the play.
No, you wrote the play.
Yes.
No,
Okay.
you weren't in the play. You wrote the play.
Yeah.
The actors, by the way, were fantastic. It was a
Thank
great
you.
reading.
Thank
And I'd
you.
like you to tell us a little bit about what inspired that.
When I was born into a family where my mother was a child Holocaust survivor.
Wow.
Her mother took her to the train station when she was 12 years old to save her life and said to her, her last words were be a good American. And she put her in a boat to America. And eventually my mother met who would become my father. And so my mother was a German Jew. My father was an Assyrian Catholic. But my mother wanted nothing to do with her background, and so she converted in order to marry him because he would not have married a Jew. But once she had her children, she regretted converting to Catholicism. So as he raised us upstairs in the open as Catholics, my mother created this secret and separate life in the basement to raise us as Jews. And so two things were happening simultaneously. I was living that as a human, living that experience as a human child, but my spirit was witnessing it.
Wow.
Right.
And Spirit said to me, someday you're going to tell this story. And I always had the sense, like I would be looking over my shoulder, like, wow, I am living this story to tell this story.
Right, exactly.
Right,
and that story is going to be life-changing. I can't wait for you to get it out on stage where people can really see it because it was really interesting. I know when I grew up, my father was Catholic, my mom was Baptist, grandmother was apostolic, and we were practicing everything. We were like gumbo.
Right.
Okay. And matzo ball soup. But I understand what you're saying, but, your experience was different in that we did it openly, and it was kind of a undercover thing because nobody really knew I was going to the Baptist church because I went to Catholic school, so they thought I was Catholic.
This is amazing.
So I understand how dealing with two sources of spirituality can be in your life, and is that part of what brought you to where we met you?
And I grew up, my household, my mother was Christian and my father was Muslim. So we all kind of have that in common, and that's probably why we're able to, work with spirit outside of religion.
Right.
Exactly.
Regardless of our religious
Exactly.
choice.
Exactly. And that is the essence of, and it's called A Good American. It's an homage to
The play, your
yes,
play.
the play is
Yes.
called A Good American. And it's interesting because I sold the concept. I just said, well, someday I'd like to tell this story. And boom, 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 effortless. The activity of God is effortless is what you
It's the way of
were
His Spirit.
saying. I ended up in an office, this was like 15 years ago, and not with the intention of selling this. But they said, well, do you have any interesting stories? And I just said, well, someday I'd like to tell this story. I was very shy about it. And they went, what?
Yeah,
And they
great
bought
story.
it.
Yeah.
So it became a screenplay, and nothing happened with it for many years. And then
So you thought.
It was an activity, quiet activity.
it was quiet. It was sitting on the shelf, and I just would look at it and go, I know there's something there. Yeah. And then one day, Spirit said to me, loud as could be, do it as a play. And I went, I never thought of that. And then it became a play.
See, that's what happens when you kind of set it on the shelf, so to speak, back off. God has a way of allowing your wheels to turn to where you can hear Spirit say, this is a play.
Yes, but, it's challenging.
Yeah.
It is challenging to trust and allow. But I do know the difference at this point between trying to push a rock up a hill, self-willing it, which never turns out good.
Good. That's right.
And we get beat up in the process.
Beat up, angry, frustrated. And the difference between that and just like trusting and allowing, keeping your hands open so what wants to come in can come in,
Yes.
and what wants to go out can go out.
That's right.
What a good analogy. That is excellent.
Is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Allow it.
Allow it.
Hands open.
And as my friend calls it, it's by divine appointment only.
That's right. And we do know about divine appointment. This is a divine appointment today.
Yes.
You
Yes,
know,
that's right.
nothing happens by accident. Us starting this show and then remembering to say, let's get Denise to come on.
Yes.
Because we need people like you to share that same, to let them know that our stories aren't that different.
Right.
That's right. That's
And
right.
that we are learning from each other, that there is no separation, that God is all there is in everything and everyone and all that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me ask you again, what happened when you decided to say, I'm going to let go, I'm going to let Spirit, where are you now with that in your career?
100. Well, I'm human, so let's say 95%.
Right.
But I always do get back to, okay, I'm gonna let go. It's time to let go again. I'm pushing too hard. This feels too hard. That God usually comes out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm over here trying to make something happen, God's over here going,
Right.
here you go.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we don't take action.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that we don't try things.
That's right.
Right.
I have a great metaphor I'd like to share.
Please.
So my husband and I were redoing our living room, and we had these chairs that we wanted to redo, and we had someone come over and stain them, and they were like dark brown, and they looked horrible. And I went, oh, that was a big mistake. So I went, okay, now what do? I know nothing about like fixing furniture. So I went and got some blue paint, painted them blue. Oh, that looked even worse. So then I went and got some white paint, painted them white. I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I knew my intention. I knew what my intention was and how I wanted to get to that place. No, I didn't know how to get there, but I knew what I wanted them to look like. Said a prayer, because I always ask for help in all things. First we pray.
Right.
And started just messing around. Got some stain, got some sandpaper, blah, 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 blah. Lo and behold, the chairs were perfect. And I said to my husband, that is such a metaphor for life. It's like we do something, we think we screwed up.
Yes.
We do something else, I screwed
It's
up
even
again.
worse.
It's even worse. You do something else, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but you know what?
Right.
I got there.
Yes, you
out of
kept your
everything that
intention
happens.
set.
Yes.
Out of everything that happens, something good comes from it.
Yes.
A beautiful mess.
Yeah.
A beautiful
It's a
mess.
beautiful, yes. That's how life
Exactly.
is.
Yes.
That is how life is. And intention is everything, because as long as you intend, you have a focus. And I always teach my coaching clients, your job is the what? God's job is the how. You don't have to know how. You just have to know what. And then when it manifests and you don't like that either, you get to change again. That breath, the pain we feel, the breath that we feel, it's a sign of life.
Exactly.
But you kept going. You didn't give up.
That's right. And
Yes.
that's important. You
Yes.
have to keep going. So this movie I'm producing now, same situation. It's very parallel to the chair metaphor. I've been on this path for going on 10 years. And every time I thought, wow, I'm here, I'm here. Nope, that wasn't it. Okay, now I'm here. Nope, that wasn't it. And it just got so frustrating. Frustrating.
But Denise, you were always on the path, because
Right.
I remember you and I talked about this movie a long time ago. And when I think about that, I think about where I am now here at the radio show, because in 2009, I did a radio show. And it was on for 2 years, and then it kind of went away. But what it was is preparation
Right.
for where I am now.
Right.
And so everything that we do prepares us for the next
step.
And it's kind of like being the caterpillar and the butterfly. You come, you go in, and you lay dormant for a while.
Right.
But all the time that it's in that cocoon,
It's happening.
creating. It's becoming more of. It's becoming more enlightened, so that when it comes out,
Right.
It's everything beautiful.
Everything
so,
beautiful.
we have to realize that when things happen, that it's not like the worst thing that can happen. It's probably the best thing that can happen, because within that, we're going to have a different thought. We're going to have a different idea. We're going to become more creative. We're going to become better at speaking to the people that we want to attract into looking at our film or looking at our ideas. So I think that, it was always on the path, always.
Absolutely. And when I look back, because now the train has left the station,
Awesome.
and we're moving. And when I look back, I say, thank you, God, because it was all about, my preparation. It was about my inner self, because I'm the shepherd for this.
Absolutely.
And God wanted me in a certain place to be strong enough and to be courageous enough and just to be prepared enough to take on this, what I call divine assignment.
Let me ask you a question. How does how does allowance come in when it comes to your writing and producing? How do you allow the divine to come in and use you when you're doing these projects? What's the process, or what is it for you?
Listening.
Mm-hmm. Yes, always listening.
Mm-hmm. That still small voice.
Taking that breath and...
I hear, I feel, I used to say before many, many years ago, and it just sort of came out of, I don't know where it came from, but it was inherent, I think. I always have one ear to the cosmos.
That's right.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I have one ear here. Well, maybe it's my third ear that I have.
Hey, there you go. One of
to
those ears always tuned in.
Always tuned in.
Mm-hmm.
Always tuned in.
Because it's like my oxygen tank.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a position where you were doing something and you'll hear a little voice say, stop? And you stop for a moment, and then all of a sudden this clarity comes and you go, I got it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's that third ear hearing. That's what you call the ear to the cosmos.
You know what
when
I always...
we're allowing ourselves to take that breath and say, wow.
And I always say, more will be revealed,
That's right.
not figured out.
Don't have to
Right. That's
figure it out.
faith.
Yes, God gave us brains to use, of course. I use my common sense, I use my experience, but mostly I use my intuition.
Yeah. I always hear my name. Mm-hmm. I always hear my name, and I'm like, yes? It always perks me up. And it's like, okay, that call out is me not listening. Because why are they calling my name? What is it I'm not paying attention to?
Would you remember that film, Conversations with God?
Yes, the book. I've read the book.
He had done everything. He was laying up there one night, broke, didn't know what was going to happen next, and he heard that voice say, "Are you ready to listen now?"
Right.
So we always have to be, when we have those slow down moments and when things aren't happening exactly the way we think they're supposed to in our writing or whatever it is, it's just God, a spirit waiting, the universe saying, when she slows down.
Mm-hmm.
I think what most of us humans do not realize is that we have so much guidance and so much love.
So much, Denise.
And because, we live in the illusion of
Right.
a three-dimensional world, we don't stop and we just don't know yet.
Right.
But we do live in a multi-dimensional universe, and we are multisensory. And there's so much love and guidance right there.
Right there.
They
waiting
want to
for
help
us.
so much. And yet most of us do not utilize it.
Right.
And it's the greatest gift of being a human.
And even those of us that do, we don't utilize most of it. Healing angels, angels of song, angels on the road,
Everything.
And we have not because we ask not.
Right. I call them my ATGs,
But
my angel teacher guides.
That's right.
Your she's rolling with the ATG.
And they said to me, "Oh, we like that acronym."
Yes. I love that. I love the ATG.
But
yes.
One of the things I want to say right here too is that my understanding is, and I'm glad we're talking about angels and guides and all that's available to us, because I find that most of us aren't taught that. We are taught one-dimensional thing. We're here. This is what it is. And if you say outside of God, well, why would God create something and not? not have everything available to us. Even in the birth story of Christ, the angels came and did the talking and prepared people. So why would it not happen in our lifetime that these angels and these guides and all of the universal spirits are available to assist us in everything that we do? And what we forget is that we have the right to call on it, to expect it, and to be in the moment saying, I'm ready right now.
That's right. And the answer will come in very
different ways.
Right. You know, it could be a billboard that just whips you, it just grabs your attention and you know that's your answer. Or a stranger on the street, or
it could be in a flower.
It
could be in anything.
A million different ways the answer will come.
Right. And so to be ever listening is the thing to do.
Right.
You know, whether it's manifesting your gift or sometimes even going to the restroom, you know, do this while you're in there. You never know what that small shift in listening is going to bring to you. And like you said, eyes, ears, the third ear, listening with your whole body.
Right.
It becomes important once you become aware.
Right. And trusting it, because Spirit might tell you to do something that you go, what?
All the time. All the time.
I don't want to do it.
Many years ago, before I was, you know, as far down the road as I am now, I dropped my little dog off at somebody's house to go to work. And loud as can be, I heard a voice that said, go a different way to work today. Well, I didn't listen because I wasn't listening back then.
Yeah.
And when I got to the corner, a car came out of nowhere and crashed into the front of my car.
I like that example. Not that the car crash. I mean, I'm glad you're okay. But you said you heard it, but you didn't listen.
That's right.
There is a difference between hearing and listening, because so often we'll have an experience and we look back and say, wow, something told me
that's right.
there's something in spirit
that's
talking
right.
to
that's
you.
Right.
That's right.
Always.
That's right. Like mainstream, you know, three-dimensional people will say something told me, but if you start using the word intuition or allowing spirit, they get turned off. They're like,
don't say that.
Don't say that.
That's not real, but
they do it anyway.
It's the most real thing.
That's right.
Real.
I have sometimes heard very clearly. There was an incident that happened that was very close to me, and someone in the family had a medical diagnosis, and I heard spirits say instantly, they will be perfect. And so I just held that. The doctors said differently on up until the time where this event occurred. And it was perfect, just as Spirit said. So I have this saying that I say outside of all praises due to God. I believe God. Right. It doesn't matter what that doctor says. Right. And the doctor could be very right, but what does God say? And in order to hear that, you have to be not just hearing, you have to be listening.
And the other thing that we've got to remember is that we are not just five senses. You know, they say we have five. No, we're greater than that. We're this universal everything.
Yeah, connected.
This is a whole universe here that has the ability to produce and grow and be anything that it wants. But when we come into that one-dimensional life where we only hear it one way. That's why it's important that we have people like you come on the show, that we hear different stories so that we know that it's all available to each and every one of us, that there's absolutely no separation in any way. And when we acknowledge that it is all God,
right,
that it can only be God.
Right.
Because in the beginning was God, and God was the Word, is what they say. Am I correct?
Right.
So if that's what it is, then that's who we are. That's what and if we were created out of it, image, likeness, and everything, then what else could we be?
And, you know, we mentioned earlier, we all met through the Beans.
Right.
Attending that gathering. And one thing I loved about that was nobody looked the same. Everybody had different faiths, but we knew the truth when we heard it, right? I've told this story. I was following my mother in because I felt like, what are these people doing to my mom? They're sucking her brain out. I'm going to go check this out. And the moment I arrived, I was just like, yes, this is the truth. I knew it. It rang in my spirit, you know, and I was from that moment on awoke in a different kind of way. And I love seeing you today because this is here. We haven't really met. I think we met like 2 years ago, was it? A year ago? And
for the healing session.
Yeah, we came together. It was the High Holy Time, and I haven't seen everybody since then, but we're still vibrationally in alignment with the truth.
Because
with God.
there's no separation.
Yeah.
There's no separation. And I believe that at that time when we all came together, it was to acknowledge that no matter who you are, where you are, what you
Inner
think you are,
mastery
that
was yours.
mastery is available to everyone
everybody.
who's
Yes.
willing to say, I am the master. And within that, I'm willing to be everything. And I'm open to receiving and knowing that everything that I seek is seeking me. It doesn't matter what our timeline is, because in God there is absolutely
Right.
no timeline.
Right.
What seemed like a 10-year span was a preparation time.
Right.
You know,
For the now.
for the now, for you to be exactly who you are, prepared and ready to really do your thing.
That's right.
I hope someone out there is seeing your story, your experience, and it inspires and encourages them to their own listening, to their own manifestation.
And something that I would hold on to, and I still hold on to, when I think something in my work, actually before I met my husband too, I think it should be this. You know, I think it should be this, and then it's taken away, and you feel heartbroken because in your little mind it should have been this. And I've learned, as you guys were saying earlier, this or something better.
Yes.
That's right.
It's always something better.
Yes.
And you know, if and that's just a spiritual opportunity, not just, because spiritual opportunities are huge.
Big.
And spiritual opportunities get us to the next step.
That's right.
And if we're willing to just trust that process, we will get to a better place.
Allow it.
And the human part of that is, yeah, it can be challenging.
It is.
You know, it's not just like, oh, get on the magic carpet ride, and you know, and it's not. Yeah, it's challenging.
Yeah.
But that's why we have each other.
That's right. That's right. And when you shift your perception, you see that even the challenge is a part of that. That's the slope on the carpet ride.
That's right.
It can be all good.
Yeah.
It may not feel like it, but we can count it.
And
good.
it gets easier.
Yes.
You go, okay, I've been here before.
And I
what
know
to
it.
do.
And
I
I
know
know
what to
it,
do.
and I know what to do.
Remembering.
Remembering.
And God wants me to
Remembering
have
who
something
you
better.
are.
That's right.
And it's something better. Well, our time is closing. We are so blessed by your presence today.
Thank you.
And this show is going to be available. Is there any contact information you would like to leave? If someone,
really.
Okay, great. She's got enough going. So we thank you for joining us. And next week, we're going to have O'Shea and Melanie Luja. Most of you know them as Food for Thought and Socks. And our topic next week is going to be talking about doing the work, the spiritual work. Okay, so
And Denise, we look forward to seeing your work on screen, because we know that it's already done.
In the mind of God, it is already done.
You know, I didn't mean to be like jokey when you said is that you want to leave contact information. So
No, I believe that.
if anyone does want to contact me, they can go to makemagicproductions.com and there's an email address there.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. And if you have any suggestions for upcoming shows, please remember to email us at thirdearradio@gmail.com. That's thirdearradio@gmail.com, and we will respond. Any suggestions, show topics, or anything. So I hope you started your week off great with us.
Here we go again. Wonderful week, wonderful conversation. Looking forward to listening with the third ear once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank
you.
you
Thank
for
you.
joining
It's been
us.
wonderful, as always. My sister.
Yes.
Always wonderful.
I love
Okay.
you.
Wonderful show.
Good look.
All right.